It was the height of the wedding party when the hall doors were opened to a crash that cut the music and froze the smiles. On the threshold, a female figure burst like a human hurricane, the injected eyes of fury, the shrill voice cutting the air. "You're ungrateful. I destroyed my life because of you." The guests, paralyzed, attended astonishment to the bride's mother to demand $2 million as compensation for the years of creation. Good night, dear listeners. I am Andre Branco, and you are on the Ent-Related Soul channel. Today I bring you a real story that will mess with your emotions until the last word. Prepare for a journey of revelations. The alarm clock didn't even have to play. Marina opened her eyes exactly at 6 in the morning, her heart hitting the rapid pace of expectation. It was that day, the day she had dreamed since a girl, the day that would mark the beginning of a new life, her marriage to Igor. Carefully not to wake the best friend, Dosha, who slept in the next room, Marina slid out of bed. The golden rays of the summer sun filtered out by the heavy curtains as she pushed them away, flooding her atmosphere with a light that seemed to bless that moment. July, perfect month for weddings, for new beginnings. At 27, Marina had lived enough to know that happiness is not a gift, it's an achievement. Created only by her mother, a woman who had transformed every gesture of affection into a currency of exchange and every achievement of her daughter to resent, she learned the weight of effective loneliness early. He graduated in pedagogy, struggled as a primary teacher, saved each penny to enter a modest apartment on the outskirts and, against all probabilities, found Igor. He, a manager in a technology multinational, was all she had never dared to wish: attentive, protective, and, what moved her the most, a silent listener. When Marina vented about the toxic relationship with her mother, he did not judge, did not minimize his pain. He just hugged her and whispered, "Now you have a safe haven. And I won't let you sink." The son was barely born when Dosha appeared at the door, her hair disheveled by sleep. "I couldn't sleep," Marina confessed, a trembling smile on her lips. "I haven't fallen into real that I get the wife of Igor today." The friend squeezed her hand. "Believe me, friend. Today your nightmare becomes a dream. And I'll help you prepare for him." The designer would arrive in an hour. The day flew between makeup brushes, pins in the dress, and the last touches that turned a woman into a bride. Marina deliberately did not invite her mother to these intimate moments. The last meeting was 3 months earlier, when Ludmila Grigorievna appeared with the lame excuse of loan to the salary and took almost all the money Marina kept for her wedding shoes, knowing that she would never return him. Ludmila has always been a painful puzzle. Mediocre bureaucrat in a facade company, he was complaining of lack of luck, while showing the latest generation cell phones and newly fitted nails in expensive halls. Money dripped between her fingers like water, and the culprit was always the same: Marina. "If it wasn't for you, I would have a decent life. Because of you, I never got a serious man." These phrases echoed in Marina's memory since childhood, like a soundtrack of guilt. Even so, for the sake of principles, or perhaps of naive hope, Marina sent the wedding invitation by Sedex. No answer. Not that I expected one. But I needed to do the right thing. The ceremony at the registry was impeccable. Igor did not take his eyes out of the bride, and when Marina repeated the vows, her words trembled with an emotion contained. Ludmila didn't appear. The panorama hall received the 60 guests with full tables and decoration that looked like a fairy tale. Igor's parents, refined and welcoming people, embraced Marina as a daughter. Gifts, the first waltz, laughs and gifts, everything flows like in a movie. Until the weather changed. The doors opened with violence, as if a gale broke them. Ludmila Grigorievna erupted in the salon, a whirlwind of blood-red fabric, blurred makeup and hair in disadvantage. "I arrived, my daughter. You thought I would have such a party without your mother, huh?" His voice cut the music, and a sepulchral silence took over the environment. Marina felt her stomach turn. "Mom, I sent the invitation, tried," but Ludmila interrupted her with a theatrical gesture. "Oh, is it? And did you think I was going to be content with a little paper? Look at her." He pointed to Marina with disdain. "All produced, like a fairytale princess. But who spent clear nights for you? Who deprived everything to create you?" Igor advanced, placing himself between the two. "Madam, Today is not the day for this. We can talk later. Ludmilla laughed, a rough sound. Shut up, enjoyer. Do you think I don't know what you want? A house, a stable job, stuck the claws in it, didn't you? Marina felt her tears burning, but something inside her, a strength she never knew existed, made her lift her head. Enough, he said, moving gently away from her husband. Now it's going to be different. With firm steps, he approached his mother, who stared at her with a triumphant smile, certain that her daughter would bend as always. You know, Mom, I spent years wondering what I was wrong, Marina began, the voice surprisingly calm. Why was nothing of what I did make you happy? Why did every victory of mine fill you with anger? Why, while other mothers were proud of their children, you only saw a burden on me? Ludmilla tried to interrupt, but Marina remained. At 10, you tore my favorite book, given by the teacher, because I was finding myself. At 13, my first-place diploma was destroyed at the Olympics, saying that I was 16, I had a commitment to a man. The guests were hypnotized. Ludmilla paled. But today I got it, Marina continued, a bitter smile on her lips. The problem was never me. It was you. You just don't know how to love. And that's not my fault. How do you dare? Ludmilla ran, but Marina raised her hand, cutting her protest. 2 million for my creation? His voice now had a tone of steel. Let's do the math then. He took a calculator out of his bag and started typing, enumerating every penny. My father's pension, which you received until I turned 18 and spent on myself, 810,000. Government aids that were going to stop in your account, 300,000. The money I earned since 16 giving you private lessons and delivered to you, 400,000. Loans that has never returned in recent years, 600,000. Ludmilla our father, incredulously. Did you, noted everything? Of course, said Marina, serena. After all, I inherited your way with numbers. Turning the device screen, it showed the total, 2.56 million. But today is my wedding, so I will round for 2. As a gift. The hall exploded in nervous laughs. Igor looked at his wife with pure admiration. Ludmilla, for the first time in her life, was speechless. Marina approached, lowering her voice so that only Mother heard. Do you know what the irony is? You spent life charging me what you never gave. But today I got something you never had, a family that really loves me. And with a discreet gesture, he signaled to the security guards. I think it's time for you to go. While his mother was led out, Marina returned to Igor's arms, where she finally found peace. Because some wounds only close when we stopped feeding those who opened them. And the 2 million you owe me, Mother, Marina added, with calm that surprised herself, but I won't charge them. Consider it my gift. Wedding for you. His eyes found Ludmilla's, and for the first time, it was the mother who looked down, as if the floor had opened under her feet. The woman who always knew all the answers, who turned guilty into coins and affection for debt, now stammered between trembling lips, You are lying. This is ingratitude. I'm Ludmilla Grigorievna Dash. And this is my father-in-law, Pavel Anatolovich. He cut off the math teacher's firm voice, a man of erect posture and serene look. I think you would better withdraw. If you prefer, I can call the police for attempted extortion. The silence that followed was so dense that you could cut with the bridal cake knife. Ludmilla swept the hall with a desperate look, seeking allies in faces that now face her with a mixture of piety and disapproval. No one moved. No one defended her. You'll still regret it, she spit before turning her heels and going out with a door crash that echoed as an end point. For a moment, the hall remained motionless. Until a single pair of hands began to beat, slow, deliberate. Then another. And another. In seconds, the space exploded in applause, a wave of support that involved Marina as a collective hug. He has pulled her to herself, her fingers intertwined in hers, her voice a hoarse whisper against her ear. You are the strongest woman I have ever met. Marina buried her face on her shoulder, feeling the weight of decades detached like dry shell. I only understood that I deserve more, he replied, and for the first time, he believed in this real. The party went on, and the incident, though not forgotten, was pushed into the shadows, like a ghost that finally lost its power. Marina danced until her feet hurt, laughed at her belly idea, laughed again, accepted hugs and gifts with a lightness she didn't know. It was as if, when closing that door, the book of a life written with poisonous paint had also closed, and now, for the first time, I held a new pen with blank pages in front of him. A week later, when the couple returned from the honeymoon, a letter waited for Marina on the kitchen table. There was no urgent seal, no expensive envelope, just her handwritten name, with a handwriting she would recognize anywhere. Inside, a single sentence, as simple as a blow to the chest: "Forgive me, if you can." She followed the roll between her fingers for long minutes, as if her weight could measure the value of those words. Then, carefully, he folded him and kept in the drawer of the desk. It was not ready to forgive. But I no longer wanted to carry the stone of anger like a trophy. Life with Igor revealed himself exactly how she had dreamed of the most secret moments of her loneliness, a refuge of complicity, where the silences were as eloquent as the words, and the plans were four-handed fabrics. When Artem was born a year later, Marina discovered a joy that took her by surprise, not that painful obligation that her mother had sold her as duty, but such a visceral love that it hurt so pure. Every laugh of her son, every staggering step, every mommy dragged her filled with a pride that didn't fit the chest. And then came Tamara Nikolaevna. The mother-in-law could have been another shadow of her past, another difficult woman, another battle for space. But instead of imposing methods or judging choices, she was simply present. In the early months of exhaustion, it was his hands that packed Artem while Marina slept. It was his calm voice that taught, there is no right way, there is only love. Until, one night, while the two calmed the baby's cry, Tamara muttered, "You know, I always dreamed of a daughter. And now I have you." It was the first time Marina cried for something other than pain. Because there, in those arms that did not know her from the crib, she finally understood what it was to be loved without condition, without exchange coins, without the threat D. And a "you owe me." News from Ludmila arrived sparse, like dried leaves brought by the wind. She had moved city, arranged a modest job, seemed to have straightened, said the common acquaintances. Postcards began to appear on holidays, short messages without drama, as if she tested the water temperature before diving. "Happy New Year. Health for you and your family." Nothing that required answer. Nothing that could be used as a weapon. Until, on the 3rd anniversary of Artem, Marina typed a number that had not died for years. "Want to meet?" he asked, and the voice on the other end of the line broke before he even answered. Ludmila arrived with a huge package of gifts for her grandson and a bouquet of flowers that trembled in her hands. Time had softened his traces, or perhaps it was the absence of bitterness that now marked his face. "I changed a lot," he confessed, the damp eyes. "And what is sorry to have not been able to value what you had. You were a wonderful child, Marina. And you became an amazing woman. Not because of me, but despite me." They did not become friends overnight. Confidence is like a plant after a frost, it needs gradual sun, of excess water. Ludmila started visiting once a month. He played with Artem in the park, helped peel potatoes in the kitchen, never asked for money, never raised his voice, never tried to command. And gradually Marina felt the ice inside her melt, not at once, but drops the drop, like snow in the spring. 5 years after that wedding that had changed everything, when Paulina was born and filled the house with hard laughs and lost socks, Ludmila made an unexpected request. "Can I move closer to you? I want to be present in the life of my grandchildren, but I promise not to invade yours." Kept the word. He rented a small apartment 2 blocks away, and became the official nanny, the storyteller before bed, the extra hand in the night fever seizures. It was as if, at age 60, he decided to compensate for every hug he denied his daughter, each "I love you" who swallowed in exchange for sharp silences. In the 7th anniversary of Artem, after the last guests left and the party's mess still took over the room, Ludmila asked Marina a moment alone. "I know no word erases the past," he said, sliding an envelope on the table. "But I wanted to return something. Inside, the deed of your apartment, now in the name of Artem and Polika, and a bank extract with a sum that, although not 2 million, represented years of meticulous economies. I kept a little every month," he explained, already preparing to justify. Marina didn't let it. He pulled his mother to such a tight hug that he almost stole his breath. "Your money doesn't interest me, mother. What I always wanted was your love. And I'm glad, even late, my children have it. That night, while Nina was Artem, Marina heard her son murmur, already asleep, tomorrow the grandma comes, right? Come, yes, she smiled, stroking her hair. She loves you so much. And you love you too, said the boy, with the absolute certainty of the children. She told me herself. Marina kissed her forehead and came out in silence, finding herself into the room, with a glass of wine and that smile that still made her feel butterflies. How are you? He asked, knowing the day had been long. Happy, she answered. And it was true. A quiet happiness, no fanfare, but deep as roots. The next morning, while helping Artam ready the backpack for school, he found a drawing stuck between the notebooks, a heart divided in half, with the names for the best mom and the best granny scribbled in trembling letters. 2 hearts, Marina thought. 2 beginnings. Because life, after all, was not about erasing scars, it was about learning to live with them without letting them dictate the way. And love, this yes, had the power to transform even the back wounds in maps for a better future.